I'm supposed to give an introduction now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. So this is a new podcast by Delbilfine, which is me, and Armaranth, which is Alex, but he's not talking that much. Can you talk for the crowd?
Hello.
Oh, there we go. So the point is to, shed some light on our that server, and the idea behind the podcast was to basically create something that's more for the normal gamers rather than the high-end players, because let's face it, our server doesn't have that many high-end players. And I got really tired of watching content from high-end players only. So anyway, first episode, we have Burubosu here, a very prominent figure in the Horde community, in the Pug rating Horde community.
No, I don't
Buru,
know problems. But I
you
have done
are.
some. I have done quite some plugging. Yes, I did.
How
Yeah.
many? Do you have a number?
Let's see. Yeah, depending on because I did some pucks overall.
Mhm.
Let's see. So let's say I raided almost every week in red, and that was purely puck because that's when I switched to just making more quote unquote organized puck groups. Because the random ones I was like maybe not gonna do it.
Mhm.
When I started, I playing classic in like around COVID. I created a guild, but we needed to perk like like almost half of the groups in the beginning. Um,
Mhm.
but to say, let's say purely pucks. Yeah, what's the number? I think we. How long has Red been going now? Quarter year. So that's got to be
Almost a year.
almost a year. So yeah, well, like deduct a few weeks because I have took some breaks. So yeah, I think maybe at least 30, even more if you count like the other expansions. I would say.
Is it the right
All
time
right. So
to advertise your Discord channel? The one you've been
yeah,
using?
yeah, do it.
Yeah, at the moment I am taking a little break because it was really needed. But I will be returning when doing 25 months at least when the tournament is coming and maybe a bit earlier again. It's the
Hmm.
freelance rating bug.
Hmm.
Yeah. So and the freelance rating club. Most of the time when I'm starting to make groups, I also start advertising in the looking for group again. Um, so yeah. That's what it is. I in the beginning I had the macro was like the ideal place to be if you were a guild bench warmer.
But
Mm.
really, I've seen your channel and it's more detailed even than guild channels I've been before. It got
Yeah,
everything in it.
Yep, when I started it up, because I was like thinking about because I had been leading a guild for quite some time. The biggest problem I saw with a guild, especially because I started later on, like most of the better players were already in like decent raiding guilds. So what I noticed was like a lot of the people were not really dedicated, and I didn't need two dedicated people, but at least people that know at least a little bit what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, maybe if I just and also if you make a guild, you have yeah, not to take everyone, but kind of people expect more for you to take them. So I was like, if I create like a more organized channel, I can ask for more. Yeah, like I don't really like gear score, but it's if you don't know people, it's like an easy way of seeing if they actually did a little bit. So I was always checking like other things as well. But like for the first few, gear score was kind of easy. Also, I just rather had like seen the gear and seen the basic stats. So I was like, if they shared, what is it site again? I forgot the link.
Warcraft clubs.
I think yeah. At least there are a couple of sites they could use. And then what I mostly did, I didn't even per se look at the gear itself, but I looked at the base stats. Like I knew for certain class, okay, you at least need this amount of hit, this amount of that. So when I knew like, okay, at least they can hit the boss and they have like a decent amount of damage. Let's take
Hmm.
them. Let's see how it goes, and then we can build from there. And then in like the span of a few weeks. Yeah, I was building a Nexus Steady team. I in Ulwar as well, but then I started to work together with another guild. With like they used their alts because our guild already had like they were more focused on the 10 mans, and I wanted to do 25s as well. So
Hmm.
then I basically just started to work together with them, and because their guild leader already joined me in a couple of weeks, and he was like, "I would like to help you out," because I was basically doing all by myself.
You had more
So
signups, as I see. You have more signups on your last raids than my previous guild for sure.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, indeed.
yeah,
Um,
I think like with the amount I have been playing, and especially like yeah, because we are talking about the deadness of the server. Like, there are still some guilds. I know the guild moss of just from being guild moss myself or being working together with them. I always was like, yeah, if you like even if like people that need gear but they cannot join or whatever, they're always free to join. And like, yeah, I had some my connections here and there, and I try to just get new people in there, try to see what they how they were, and yeah, yeah, I try to,
name
yeah, that's basically it.
name of the Discord server for those that don't know is the Freelance Rating Club.
Yep.
So the reason we got Brewer here today is, or tonight, I should say, is because I stumbled upon a Reddit post from a guy called Lodi. That's LAWDIE 123, who's apparently from our server. And oh, let me link it to you guys, just so everybody has it in front of them in case they need it. He has this really curious, really interesting question, rather. Is your realm slowly dying? And he's talking specifically about our server, the Mirage Raceway. And honestly, I wanted to touch on it. I felt it was pretty interesting given the fact that we're in a dip when it comes to player count. And before I go to Buru and to get Buru's insight on it, because being a pug leader essentially means that, well, I'd wager he would have more insight on the server status. I want to talk about a little. I want to ask Armoranth. So Armoranth has been raiding and has been playing World of Warcraft for like I don't know ever since it launched, essentially, right?
The biggest part of my life, actually, more than
Yeah, yeah. It's like you're married to it at
yeah,
this point. So,
pretty much.
yeah. So, like, was it like this? I mean, do you guys also feel that the server is going? There's a deep now, in the player base. Is it seasonality? Did it used to be like this back in the day, Amaranth?
Well, I believe that it always happens eventually. You can't. It will happen again and again and again. Every time a new expansion, a new game comes out, something new comes out, or maybe because people just get, bored really quick nowadays. I mean, for example,
Hmm.
this is WoW Classic we're playing at the moment. Back in the
Yeah.
day, people were more into it because it was something fresh, something new. So I believe it's really easier to give up now. You know,
Right. Due to more competition.
due
I
to
mean, having other games to play. I mean.
yeah, probably, and because they won't be committed as much to relieve and do all this thing all over again. I mean, it's
Hmm.
cool to just clear once a full Ultra run, but when the hard mode hits and things start to go downfall, you know what happens.
Yeah. People start dipping out.
Yep.
Yeah. Buru, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think I mainly agree there. Like it happened to Next as well. Like if you are in for longer in a certain amount, the certain type of content, you only have like a few people that really like to create like an abundance of alts. But you also
Hmm.
have people that just want to do the content, and when they have what they have, they basically just rate logging. So and what's interesting, what I've seen so far, like the horde side on this server is like more tame, I guess. Especially when I compare it to like way back where we had some bigger guilds on the server. You see it on the the, the server rating disk as well. At first they
Hmm.
had like I think maybe even six guilds that had like their own thing on there that you could join, and now you I think you have like two guilds there. Let me check. It's the Tinker and one else, and then you have like the random groups, and maybe that's me and another guy sometimes put some perks on there. So there are like way less perks in that disc itself. But yeah, I know there are a lot of other people running still perks, but it's like on different guild discs, and so it's more spread out. But if you compare it to, for instance, the Lions side, it's super. It's crazy. I have been just chilling there because like we had some guild members that wanted to just for funsies do an alliance for some time. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's check it out. The amount
Hmm.
of the gold DPKPs I have seen in chat, it's insane. So
Right.
yeah. So it's like I have the feeling like because especially if you have like Reddits like these, when people are posting, yeah, servers are gonna going kind of dead, and when people play on there, they say, oh yeah, it's more you need to do more to get groups going. And I always believe if you put the work into it, you can always get groups going. I've been doing it from the beginning that I started to classic again. Um, but yeah, most people just want to come online, want to join a group. If it's guild, it's guild. If they are like, yeah, maybe I don't have time for guild, they just want to join a perk. So if they hear like, oh, this other server that's like full of horde players, then they will just go there. So yeah. Um, yeah, I think it's like a bit of both. Like, okay, maybe there's because you have some big horde side service, so I think there are a lot of people there, but also it's the content. Like a lot of people did the normal thing now, and they're just
Yeah.
waiting for something new. So I think, and especially because like when we were like around the end of next, you also had Dragonflight because I know there was a group of people which I did like all the achievements in next with. And they were like mainly retail players. But as soon Dragonflight came out, and
Hmm.
Dragonflight, because I think a lot of people are really liking Dragonflight, so uh, more people kept on Dragonflight as well. Because I haven't seen those people, for instance, not coming really back to Ulduar as well. Not even in the beginning, they just stuck with the retail with Dragonflight. So yeah, and even if it's Dragonflight or another game, there will be always more like decent games around because back in the day, I think WoW was really ahead of its time, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot less now at the moment.
Do you feel like we need to push the panic button and be like, oh, the server is dying? Because personally, I can see from other guilds that they're actually struggling to fill up a raid. Their roster boss is pretty big. And I would want to steer the discussion there at some point. But ultimately, do you guys feel like the server is dying, or is it like a dip due to seasonality? There's it's spring, so people want to go outside more and do more stuff. There's also Ulduar, because let's face it, if you're not doing hard modes and if you're not pushing for hard modes and if you're not uh, so from my perspective, it's either the players are only they can't do hard modes in Ulduar, so they're only doing normal modes, which at some point get a little bit boring, or they have already done every hard mode and they just need little bits and pieces here and there, so they don't really care that much. Um, I don't know what you guys feel about that, but it's interesting that you guys mentioned the fact that there are other stuff that you can do in terms of gaming, because back in the day, well, you couldn't, and not right now. I think that Blizzard is kind of they have so many things that you can do. They have the classic realms again, and they have like Brew mentioned, the retail WoW. So it's I think Blizzard's kind of competing with. with
itself.
its own
itself.
games. Yeah,
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 bro.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But ultimately, Buro, do you think that the server is dying, or are we
No.
just a healthy server that's just on a
I
dip
think
at the
I
moment?
think it's at the moment it's a dip. For this, I think this is at the moment a more casual server, and it's just like because you mentioned as well, like if you are doing the normal modes, and I was kind of feeling that like if you are doing the normal modes, most people are gonna be kind of done with the normal modes at this point. We have been really a decent time in the server, like. Of course, people can still get loot, but once you kill like all the normal bosses, and that's all you're gonna do, and you did it, like eventually it's not like, oh yeah, let's do this again. I had the same. I was feeling I was not progressing at all, and I always say I'm a quote unquote casual player, but to be honest, I'm kind of hardcore for a casual player as well.
Yeah.
You can see that in my disc and everything, but it's just I don't have the time for like. Um, I always say like the more raiding guilds are always starting on the Wednesdays and the Thursdays. That's already days I'm working. So, but with the time I have, yeah, I felt like that's also why I needed the break. Like I done the normal one so much, I was not really progressing, and then it's like, yeah, why should I go in there every week if I feel like, yeah, now I'm just getting in there for maybe one item, and yeah, then the fun goes out of it for me, and then it's when I started to was able to go in the guild ones with the hard mode, the 10-man heroic, and I was like, oh, this is fun again because now I progress.
Yeah, of course.
So I think, yeah, you're always gonna hit like a point where people are like, okay, this is the content for me. This is the max I can get out of this game. Let's try something new now. And I think we are kind of getting in that spot. And also what you were saying about it is getting better. The weather is getting better. More things to do outside now. Yeah, I think like life has a lot of to offer as well, and people probably will have some other hobbies as well. So. Yeah, I think so far I've been on this server and it's been a long time now. There will always have been ups and downs.
Hmm.
So because I think it's more alive than it was in TBC still.
Oh
For
yeah, 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 for sure, for sure,
Totally.
for
But
sure.
quite frankly, you have to bring the difficulty issue into this. I mean, if you consider that back in Nakrama's days, you could totally do the whole 3 rounds of Zid and Sanctum and Eye of Eternity in one night. In
yep,
three
Oh yeah,
in
dude.
yeah, yeah,
hours, you could finish everything in the highest as it was difficulty. And now, if you
Yeah,
notice, Uldar is taking so much time for even. I
yeah.
mean, you're the numbers guy, Bell. You're the one always
Hey,
sitting
I'm
in.
the numbers guy.
Yeah, you're always, looking up stuff, etc., etc. And you know how hard it is for most guilds to clear and do the hard modes. So if you dedicate one night in your main, let's say, guild
Mm-hmm.
to kill everything and progress on the hard modes, you won't
Mm-hmm.
have time to play with alts, let's say, etc. Because that was why the server was so full. Because you could always see people playing on their alts, doing another three
Right,
hours of the same, rates.
right. Yeah, I mean, I think you're very on point about phase one. I'm pretty sure, and I would want Bruce take on it because he was actually a lot more active during phase one and early phase two. Right now, he's taking a break, as you mentioned. I feel like phase one created this mentality of how can I say that without sounding like really really bad, you know? We can kill everything. That was the mentality,
yeah,
right? Because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, ultimately you could. It didn't really matter how great you were playing or you weren't, but you could just kill every boss. If it wasn't, one night, it can be like two, but still, you would get through the content and get rewards essentially.
Yeah, we actually got
Um,
it down in one. We the first week Nex was out. I made my first Nex book and we cleared the whole thing.
Mm.
yeah, see, but I feel like this doesn't happen with Ulduar. First and foremost,
Mm.
Ulduar is a really big raid.
Mm.
And there are actually mechanics. So, it kind of gets a little bit more complicated. You get more wipes. People are not really used to wiping, I feel like. And what do I mean by that? I mean, mentality wise, they're not patient enough. Um, and also, they're not really good at getting back up, I believe that we spend way too much time as players into buffing back up after a wipe, et cetera, and getting ready for the boss. Which is something that I think at least it gets better with experience, and ultimately I think that people actually up their standards with phase one. And when Ulduar hit, no matter how many people were like, Ulduar is going to be harder, we need to get better, we need to play better in order to clear the content, they wouldn't listen to anybody. And when Ulduar hits, it was like reality hitting you in the like really really hard in the head.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and now they start dropping off like here and there, and they got really tired because human nature is not really built to create. It's hard to create intrinsic motives. Like
Yep.
it's hard to push yourself, and to find a reason to go back in old war and do better. It's easier when you have extrinsic motives, which more often than not it's the loot. But when you don't see the loot because you can't drop the boss, then things start getting complicated. Honestly. So yeah, Buru, is this something that you see from bugs where they like say more
Yeah,
confident back in phase one?
especially that one line that you said, like, um, first phase in the first phase, like where we're getting close to Ulduar, everyone was saying, "Ah, yeah, this is easy," but Ulduar is going to be so hard.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm totally fine with that because I'm like, okay, that's no problem. We just have to step our game up. Just make sure you know the tactics and be prepared, and we will maybe need some more time, and it will be fine. Also, Ulduar, it took a few tries. I think I got York on there twice, so it's even with all the runs I did, it was never a sure thing. Especially with perks, getting the second day going is almost impossible because you're also really depending on a lot of alts of people actually getting there. But like
Hmm.
that one line, like Ulduar is going to be way harder, and everyone was saying that. But the first thing that happened, like in the first few weeks, so many people complaining when you were wiping, and I was like,
Yeah.
why are you complaining about wiping when you first are? I was like, we all agreed this was going to be harder, so how can we complain about wiping? This was like to be expected from this rate. This was going to be harder. If we would have steamrolled through it, then it wouldn't have been any harder than next, because then we also. So yeah, that was kind of like, especially the expectations after next, it was like, oh, we are invincible, we can do everything, and I was already cautious, so that's why I was looking a lot of the things up and just let's see what we can do. And of course, I was glad to be progressing, but you always try to get more. And yeah, for me, the most frustrating part was like, um, because we did actually pretty well. I think the first week we cleared until Freya. No, 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 that's not true. We cleared Aurelia, and then
Oh, okay.
um, so that was pretty decent. We were like on par with the guild runs at that point, but the
Hmm.
second day didn't go off. So yeah, it was. Oh no, that's not true. So, first week I got the second run, and then we cleared until Mimeron, so we didn't get Mimeron and Vazex and everything. The week after, we did clear the rest, but Yogg. So we wanted to do Yogg, but that was not possible. But um, yeah, for some reason, like already in week two, I started to have people complaining about it not going that well. I was like, okay, at first it was going to be harder. Second, you are still in the puck. I know a decent amount of the people that we have in here, but we also had like, because yeah, because I was mostly doing it alone and I had a break. You also have people leaving because otherwise I would, if I would, um, if I wanted to be everyone to stay in that group, I need to be there every week. Now that's not possible if you're doing it by yourself. And
Yeah,
also, you also have people that are like, yeah, I actually want to step up my game. So you had like really good people. It's always the best people leaving for for guilds or for everything else. So I was always filling it up, and then you still have people like not understanding how it was working. Like, yeah, it's you really saw like the that next mentality of it should be easy. We should be killing this, and it's like no,
I
this
know.
is
You're right.
harder. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, expectations, man. I
yeah,
mean, what you just said, we should be killing this? No, my guy. No,
yeah, yeah,
we
yeah,
shouldn't. Why should we?
Mhm.
I mean, it's a harder raid. It's been buffed also, right? So it's not
yeah,
like it was back in the day. So it's even harder. And the fact that you're actually able in a pug run, right, to go with let's say 24 complete strangers. Although, as far as I understand it, you guys had some regulars too, right?
yeah. I
Um,
built up a kind of community. That was the idea as well. So that's why, yeah. The whole thing was I was already beginning of red. Like if I want to clear everything, like next I knew it was going to be easier. But if I actually want to Ulduar and everything else, I kind of need to have a somewhat steady base because otherwise the harder rates is going to be somewhat near impossible. But
yeah.
yeah,
Amaranth, how was Ulduar for? And a shout out here to Super Happy Adventure Club. I
Yeah.
mean, if anybody exists on the server, but how was Ulduar? Back in the day for you guys.
I believe we have the same issue because you see almost all the guilds you have a steady roster. It happens
Hmm.
that you have a steady
So,
roster.
so
Mm.
sorry to cut you off, but just to give a little bit of a context here, um, in today's standards, where would you put Super Happy Adventure Club? Let's say that there are casual players and semi-casual players players and hardcore guilds, etc., etc. Where would you put Super Happy Adventure Club so that we can just have a context?
Not the casual kind. I mean, we did manage to do stuff, but without overachieving and
I see.
overplaying with the normal 2 to 3 raids mostly on each week. But I believe that's what I'm thinking because we could consider ourselves casual back then. Because if you consider what people now who really have a fast pace, they need. That's why I believe the GDP is so successful because they just want to get shit
Hmm.
done fast. They need even pay money for it to just get their one item that they want and just be done with this shit. You know?
Yeah, and also get money back though, right?
Yeah, true. It's an endless cycle.
So you guys, with Super Happy, you were doing Old War in 2 or 3 nights. You were a pretty good guild, actually, as I can remember, right?
Yeah, we were, but the same problems that exist now existed back then as well. Because you have a steady
Right.
roster, you were too dependent on classes and certain people that if one of those people didn't make it, you wouldn't even make the raid. Because when
Yeah.
you have a steady roster, and most people can relate, I believe, in their guilds that they have the super strong, let's say 10 man to 20 to 15 man from the 25-man
Hmm.
raid. It's mostly the people that do the 10-man version on their own, and they just struggle to keep it up to perfection. Not in
Hmm.
a bad way, but just to it's how someone needs to and wants to experience the game. And
Right.
then when things don't go the way they intend to and the way you want to, it really brings the morale down and everything keeps collapsing because when one or two people stop, people are going to reconsider as well and say, maybe I'm not into it anymore as well.
Yeah. Maybe I should do the same. Right. I get it. Yeah. So, did you guys back then have recruiting issues as well? Because I feel like this is another problem that I don't know if it's a problem on every server because a dip in the general player base. I mean, it's something that you can see in other servers as well. If you go to Ironforge, um, pretty much every server that Blizzard has at the moment has been experiencing a dip right now. So it makes sense. You're well into Old War, people are starting getting tired, or they have nothing to go for, and they're just wasting. They're just not wasting, but like waiting for the next phase. What's interesting to me in the server at the moment, from what I've seen, it's really, really hard to recruit new people because you should always be recruiting, and it's I don't think it's just because we're experiencing a dip because even on the horde side that we're on, the player base is pretty healthy. We have like what 3.5k people at the moment, so that's a huge player base. Um, but still, recruiting is really really hard, and I think that makes things harder for guilds when people start dropping off to touch some grass or whatever. And I'm not sure why we have a recruiting issue. But I feel like there are way too many guilds
Imagine,
on the
sorry,
horde side.
but imagine that you
Yeah.
didn't even have Discord back in the day. You only had the
Oh shit. Yeah.
Warcraft forums, and each guild had like its own personal domain that you needed to apply to get into a guild. So you didn't have
Wow.
all this information and all these channels and all from each server that you can just with one click you can see all the guilds now because there are so many databases online with all the guilds
Hmm.
that you can apply to anywhere you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you
Yeah,
think that there's a recruiting issue?
yeah. Because yeah, I experienced the same as well when I was making a guild, or when I had a guild. Like you saw like, and still you see like new guilds popping up everywhere, and especially like yeah, back in the day, you needed to do more of an effort to make like a healthy like or a thing where you could do your like have all your guild information and everything, and now it's like make a
Exactly.
Discord, type, put in your guild form, and you already can call yourself a guild. So it's been done really quick, and yeah,
Hmm.
you have so we have so many guilds. That's like, yeah, what would I like? And then everyone, and that's also the thing. A lot of people find themselves so important that they are not willing to wait out. So when they feel like, oh, I'm not getting my raid spot here, oh, let's apply it to another guild. So you get like a lot of halfway filled rosters because like, and it's still like I understand what that people want to do the whole raid. I think
Hmm.
everyone wants to do that, but the whole thing, if you really want to have a really organized, well working machine, then sometimes you have to sit out or be willing to do like a bit of switching maybe in your
Hmm.
specs. And yeah, some people are just not willing. Yeah, so I think the main thing I have seen, like I have seen so many guilds popping up, and that was also why I was like, when I was for red, I'm not gonna do a guild again. There are already too many, so maybe let's just focus on people that maybe um, don't have a spot that week in their main groups. So that if they still want to raid, they can join me. A lot of the times that those were like really decent players, but they just didn't weren't chosen for that week. So I was like, maybe if I can get a few of those, I can still have like a decent group. And
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of worked so far. Um, but yeah, because I had some chats with some guild masters as well, because I found some people recruiting, asking me how I was doing with the raids and how my rosters were looking, and then in the end it was like, would you mind if I maybe would recruit a few of your people there? I said,
Hmm.
yeah, to be honest, I kind of need them myself as well. But yeah, you can. It's like it's a perk channel, so I cannot like restrict people for trying to get people there. But yeah,
Yeah. So you think that there's player circulation, right? That's interesting because
yeah,
I feel like go on, go on.
yeah, I think it's not that like people switch around. I think a lot of people have, at least in the main groups, have settled now, but I think a lot of people are also looking for um, yeah, looking for their own spot, or to say it like that, maybe. Um, but at least that was how I was experienced it as a guild master. Like that's already a year back, I think. So I don't know if that's happening now, but but I was like, especially if you are a quote unquote casual guild, more casual, you try to maybe be a bit serious. Like I
Yeah.
felt like I was gearing people up, so they could go away again to a better raiding guild. So that was
Yeah.
happening a lot.
Yeah, you were kind of like a stepping stone,
Yeah,
so to
yeah,
speak, right? Yeah, I
yeah.
see, I see, I see. Honestly, on that, it's actually interesting that you mentioned that. I felt like there isn't enough circulation, to be honest. See, from my perspective, I feel like player circulation is actually a healthy thing for the for the server, and in my point of view, should be happening more often. And what I experience or what I see is people tend to like, even if they're in a guild with like, I don't know, let's say 10 people, um, uh, they find it really hard to move on, or it's they're not really let or allowed to move on in a sense. You know what I mean? Because poaching people from other guilds is frowned upon. So you know, people don't really do it. And well, let's face it. If you know the other guys, it's kind of a, let's say, a dick move to poach people from other guild. But if that's happening, you get a disgruntled player in your guild that wants to move on, but won't move on because he feels like he's having fun in your guild. Besides, you guys not clearing anything, you know what I mean? And uh, it feels like the player base is has this mentality of just sit here in the guild and or in the community that you're in and try to do stuff with this community even if you see that it doesn't work, you know what I mean? um, and it's interesting to me that you mentioned that there's enough player circulation. So in my previous guild, RIP the Night Court, because they actually left the server now. They've gone to Grobulus, I think. So
Golemax,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
Golmag, is it? Okay.
probably. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. There was this issue of we couldn't find any players, right? We couldn't recruit any players. It was really hard. We didn't have a lot of people raiding constantly and being active. And it felt that, yeah, there aren't enough people. But honestly, I feel that there are enough people. It's just that they're stuck in their own environment, and they just uh, okay. This is going to be a hot take, but honestly, I think that some of the guilds should just disband and create, a bigger guild or merge. You know what I mean? I feel like it's not healthy for the server if you split the player base into smaller and smaller guilds. But I can hear your argument about the community. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's depending on what layer of playing you maybe are. Like I think because I am speaking of like the level of I was really what I was doing back then really casual. So then you saw like people flowing away. But I
Yeah,
also I also kind of agree on your hot take to say it like that because I think some guilds would be doing well to just combine because also that creates a bit more pressure to put on better prestation, not only for like because I feel like some people are just liking their roles too much. So
yeah,
I like, and that's like in overall, like in the rate compositions, like they are like, oh yeah, I'm getting that role anyway, so I don't really need to do this extra. But also for a lot of, I feel like guild masters as well. Like in the past, I had some extra, like I was working together with some guilds as well, and what I saw there, they like being the guild master so much that they didn't were not always doing the best for their guild. Because like back in the day when I felt I was not able to really lead it as I would like to, I assigned someone else, and then I did some stuff on the background still, but I was like, I'm not fit to be a leader at this point because I'm almost not there. Instead of being, yeah, well, I'm back. Here I'm back again. I'm the big leader. Please listen to me. Um, So yeah, I think sometimes it's better just step aside, do it for the greater good. Maybe make like a bigger guild that and just help around, and also it creates some more pressure for the players as well to step up their game.
Yeah, I
Um,
totally agree on that one.
and if you even if you combine, you can have like still a second 25 group, but then it's like you have like what you have like in a lot of clubs as well. You have like the main team, that is the team that's probably gonna do all the super hard modes and everything, and you have the easygoing team. And if you really want to step up, show it on the days itself. And if you have can fill a spot in that main team, show your skills, show your word, instead of being, yeah, I'm here. Yeah, you don't have anyone else, so yeah, just take me, and I will just be there, get the loot, and I will be out again. Because that's yeah, I feel, and especially from seeing it happen in my own guild back then, talking with a lot of people, also seeing a lot of officer discussion, because I have been in a lot of officer chats of other guilds as well, because I was working together with them. It, in general, a lot of the same stuff is happening everywhere, so it's also a lot of people are like, "Oh, is this happening in another guild?" Yeah, most of the shit people are like experiencing in their guild, and it's like, "Oh, maybe this is not going really right," is happening everywhere. So
Isn't that amazing though? It's like imagine that you're in a guild that is struggling to fill up a 25-man roster, right?
yeah.
Consistently. So, and you're like, does this thing happen to everyone else? Because this is what we felt like back in the night court, right? On phase one. And when you start talking to other people and you're like, you come across this exact thing that you just mentioned, that yeah, other people are having the same problem too. And then that's it. You just stop there. Dude,
Well,
just merge, you know?
yeah,
Like just yeah.
on any level guild though, on any, even from the casuals, even to the pros, the one that the elite ones, everyone had the same issue.
Yeah, it's what amazes me is that you come across a guy and you talk to a guy, let's say, because I would do that, when we were in the night court. I would ask around other guilds, are you guys having the same issue? And they would be like, yeah, we do. And I'm like, okay, then shouldn't we do something about that? I mean, you have the same issue that we do. Maybe we can work together and do something about it, but it never happened because, and I think that is, Brew was very on point when he said that about the roles. People are very, very stuck in their quote unquote important position that they have sometimes, and they are like, I'm not going to do that because it's going to threaten my the role that I have currently. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, I specifically remember one person from the night court having this fear in his head, but it wasn't like that. It was close to at least or how I translated. Anyway, yeah, I feel like recruiting should. I think that guilds should work more together. Honestly, um, sometimes it feels like we're in silos and we can't really approach each other, and it's weird when you have uh, when you're like the small group on the server, right? Because Alliance is like 70% and we're like 30, right?
There are
So
some
it's
people
too.
though in the server. I mean, for one, as I've seen, doing all the, even fun runs, not really particularly having to do with the current phase of the game, like
Oh, oh
like
yeah,
like Yaz from Sparks. I mean, she's
yeah,
also one of the admins of the Mirage Raceway server on Discord, I believe.
yeah. Shout out to Yaz,
Yeah,
by the way.
she's always looking and helping people, and she has built a really healthy community, I believe.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. It's great to have people with that sort of mentality, with Brewers mentality as well, to like give back to the community and try to organize stuff because it's really hard to do, right?
Yeah.
And you're giving a lot of your own time to actually do this thing for other people. So it should be celebrated more, and more people should actually have this mentality and try to do stuff and work together, honestly. So, um, before I'm going to ask this before we close off because I have a question to ask from Brewer's experience. Uh, what are your hopes for phase three? What do you feel like? What do you feel like is going to be? I mean, Amaranth, you've done it before. Buru, probably. You've been playing WoW for a while, I bet, right? You were when Wrath of
Yeah,
Retail.
yeah. I started playing the end of the first one, and then yeah, what red was. That's also why I came back because I knew like TBC. I didn't do everything in TBC back then because I was a really big noob, and
Yeah, me too, dude.
and then I
Me
was
too.
like, yeah, now I this time around I want to do the raids. And when I knew like red was coming around, because that was my favorite expansion of all time, I also didn't have the chance to do everything there. So I was like, yeah, let's just make this happen. So yeah, I'm really excited for the next phase because like it's for a lot of people like it's not maybe not too much special, but I really love the tournament, especially because it was like a smaller one, and I feel
Hmm.
also that especially because we had like this big ass raid that is kind of hard for a lot of guilds to complete. It's nice to have something that's like a bit less pressure and maybe just more easygoing because like even if you wipe, you still have plenty of time to kill everything because that is just less to do, and you can still gear up and still have some fun, and it's something new. And I think also Onyxia was coming back. That's really nice to have something nice and short.
Oh yeah.
It's like those nice little short things that I think it's also really healthy for the pug community as well. Because
Hmm.
like next to the guild raids and the more casual ones, I think that's gonna be easier to make groups going for a lot of people as well. Because now it's like I think also of for a lot of people organizing an Ulduar, knowing like a second day is hard, knowing like it's a lot of bosses, a lot of tactics, a lot of shit you have to get down. Yeah, it's also like this big mount. Like, oh damn, I need to organize an Ulduar for some people maybe. Like I was always like, if I want to do something, and I know also as a warrior tank, it's not the most preferred role for a lot of people, and a lot of guilds already like to have some like a paladin tank or anything. It's like, yeah, fuck it, I will just do it myself if needed, and then have some fun with. Because I also like meeting a lot of people throughout like outside guilds because the main reason I'm now in this guild it was because like a lot of the old people from the guild I made back then and I get to know was like actually the guild where Dolo and Tim were in they
Hmm.
merged with my guild back then, so we already did the merge because they were looking for people, I was looking for people, and they joined me sometimes. It was like, oh, this is fun. So that's how we got to know each other by a merge. um so yeah, I have some good hopes. I don't know if like tons of people are gonna come back for maybe the next phase, but at least I think it's gonna be something new, something a bit easier maybe to do. So yeah, I think that can also give like a boost to more activity, especially if they gonna like I am happy to do Ulvar now, but if they nerf it a little bit, it's gonna be easier for more people. Maybe it's
Yeah.
gonna be more in one night.
Upgrades, yeah, as well.
Yeah, because that's also because a little bit back in the conversation where you were saying about yeah the people don't have that much time for alts and everything. It's true because like they are running 10 man hard modes, they are running 25 because in all the 10 man hard modes and 25 things are different best spot item for a lot of people. So then you already have like 4 days if you want to clear everything on only those two modes. Yeah, where are you gonna put your alts? So yeah,
Yeah.
I think it would be the more quickness of the next expansion or next sorry the next phase is I think it's going to be nice. I am excited for it.
Dartmouth, what do you? I think I got from Buru that it's going to be pretty exciting. I've never done it, so what's TOC? Is it TOGC? I don't know. What's
TOC.
phase three like? Yeah,
I
should we
believe
be excited for it?
we should be because it also, even now they made the changes and added you know all the catch-up mechanics with the heroic
Right.
class, etc. You even get a new five-man ran that I remember pretty vaguely that
Oh, you
uh,
do?
I remember that I was in the five-man version of the TOTC. You could just
Oh.
log with a new character, all your alts, and just pick up. You can do it on the daily with all your alts again, and pick up pretty good items that can help you along the way. And you could just leave your characters there. And
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, on the 5 months. So, and it also offered a lot of challenge, especially the hard one, because the hard version of the raid had some pretty good rewards and unique rewards. Like, in we can discuss it another time, but it had if you could do it without anyone dying, like the same rewards that happen in
Yeah.
every raid. You could get like a mount, a unique mount. If you do it the server first, you got another mount. It was the last fight I remember was Anno Barak was really exciting and stressful,
Well,
and
that's cool.
yeah, it brings a lot back. I mean, I know people are just gonna drag it in one day now because they know everything,
Probably. Yeah,
and they
probably.
are min-maxing even their cup of coffee, but
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
they're min-maxing everything now. But I believe people are gonna come back for it and just prepare, and because with all the dailies and all the Colosseum stuff and Onyxia, as Buru said, people are gonna come back
Yeah.
and just have their alts and everyone ready with the catch-up mechanics to be ready to storm into Ice Crown, the main final goal of this expansion.
I mean, if it's anything like Zulaman, because honestly, Zulaman for me, favorite raid. I really loved it because it was sword, it was sweet, it was really nice. It had a lot of great gear. If it's anything like that, but for Wrath of the Lich King, I mean, sign me up. I'd be very happy to do it. But anyways, from what I can understand from what you guys are saying, we should just get our hands off the panic button. Everything is as it should be, and everything are going to get better with phase three and with the older war nerfs, like Buru mentioned. And although we don't have really a structure for this podcast because this is the very first episode, and again, Buru, thanks a lot for being here. I don't know if I said it at the beginning, but
Yeah,
thanks a lot for being for
thanks
being
Yeah,
for
no
our
having me.
first
problem.
guest. Before we let you go and before we say goodnight to everybody, I just want to ask what would have been in all your pugs, what would have been the moment that you remember the most, I don't know, Mimi or the best moment? What would be that moment that you were like you really loved or laughed a lot about? If you
The,
have one, you know what I mean?
oh, I had
It's
so
hard, huh? Yeah.
there's so many moments. I think the one I was most proud of was like Ulwar moment, and that was when we first downed Jog, because it felt
Oh, okay.
and that's like not a funny moment, but that's like because I put so many things into this, and then to be able to get down York with like the
Yeah.
per group with everything, that was nice. Which I laughed about. Oh yeah, we had. I forgot who did it. Um, but we were in an X, and like at that point, I had like another mouse, and my mouse was being a bit fucked up, so I needed to get it made. And my keyboard same as well because my USB port was like fucked up, so I needed to get a new one.
Hmm.
And someone, who was it? What was it? The Paladin. It's I forgot the name of the ability, but he by accident he used it on me, and I was thinking my keyboard wasn't working at all and my mouse, and we were like just about to pull KT, and the guy was already trying to summon all his ads. And I was like, I was just yelling like, "Fuck's sake! My keyboard and my mouse are not working!" And then I heard like, yeah, sorry, I put this buff on you by accident, and yeah, yeah, I needed to click it away, and
And you
yeah,
couldn't.
yeah, it was a bit too late. I died, but yeah, that was one of the most funny moments, I think, because it was like a fuck up, and we still cleared it. But yeah, I was like, like I was thinking, like honestly, that my whole PC was getting was exploding or something, but no, it was just that one buff.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was.
I see. I see. It's nice that you had you had fun with it because other people would be fucking raging, honestly. So yeah, it's nice that you had fun with it. So we can call it off, I think, here. Buru, people, whoever is listening to the podcast, give some love to Burubosu and his Discord server. Again, the name is the Freelance Rating Club. if you people want to bug. I know that Buru mentioned that he's on kind of a break right now, but he's gonna get onto it again at some point in the future. So Burubosu on Mirage Raceway on our server. I don't know why I have to mention that because it's our community. Anyway, give the guy some love. Buru, thank you a lot. We could be
Yeah,
talking, for
for
hours
hours.
and hours on end. Yeah, but
Totally.
we just had to cut you off here and cut this whole thing off. Thanks again for being here. We're going to have you again at some point because Armarath mentioned a lot of different topics that we could talk about, which is interesting. Um,
Yeah, this was
you know,
fun.
I, I'm glad. I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you liked it. We're gonna post this to the to our servers Discord. So some love to these guys over there too. I would love to pick Yaz's brain and other people's brain over on the Mirage Raceway Discord community because I've been doing a lot of work and I want to get into the nitty gritty of the warning list forum with some of the
Hmm.
yeah, with some of the guys over there, and I hopefully we can get alliance people here too because I haven't seen how their side of the server is. That'd be, I think, pretty interesting, and I hope
Yeah,
that we do, and we will aim for it.
really.
So, guys, thanks for listening. Guru, thank you. This was Delbo Fiend and Armaranth. If you can,
Yeah.
close us off somehow.
Close us off, really.
Yeah, big commitment right there. But
Yeah,
you
really.
can do something.
You caught me a bit unprepared, but yeah, I hope we
I know,
can
I know.
hope at least someone hears us, someone listens to it, so we can
At
make
least one person. Yeah,
yeah, so we can make more and have
At least we had fun.
yeah, we really
yeah, we had
did,
fun. That's true.
and we can bring more people into this, and everyone who really wants to discuss about anything on this. We are all in this together, so if anyone really wants to just to let it all out, even this their guild or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just do something. Whatever you guys want,
yeah,
we're here for
feel
it.
free to join us.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Guru. Good night, and we'll see you on to the next episode, whenever that is. We don't know. Bye for now. So,
Yeah, bye bye.
oh,
Bye bye.
hey, that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.